Thanks, guys. Great to be here. This is one of those that is hard to believe, but in the modern era, maybe not so much anymore. They literally have a book in the schools in California that talks about raping babies and sex acts with dogs. Yeah, can't make this stuff up. It's just absolutely vile. It's so sick. We actually cannot quote the book. It's so disgusting. But so obviously, the textbook wars are heating up in California, and those trying to protect children from this vile filth are raising fresh concerns about another book that is available to children through school libraries. It's called Push. It's listed as African American Studies. And it's mostly about incest. Yes, you heard me. It's mostly about incest, but it includes references to raping babies, sexual activities with dogs, and a whole bunch of other vile stuff that we can't even talk about. The novel was written by an author who goes by the name of Sapphire, and it ostensibly tells the story of a 16-year-old obese and illiterate girl from the ghetto who is raped and impregnated by her father. It features language really so outrageous that we cannot repeat it here. It's got endless graphic references to anal sex and bestiality and oral sex, masturbation, incest, and more. And it's written in this weird ghetto English. I don't even know how to describe it. And so this situation was actually discovered by Santa Ana Unified teacher Brenda Lebsack. She's a former school board member, and she has worked for years trying to expose this horror going on in her own district and also in public schools across California. Her district is primarily Hispanic. These are primarily Catholic parents who are not okay with this stuff, and yet the school district doesn't want to tell them about it. She's become very prominent. Her writings have been featured at the Epic Times, at the Heritage Foundation's Daily Signal. I've interviewed her numerous times. She's really a wonderful fighter for children. And this is what she said about this filthy book. She says, "Is this how the Black community wants their culture represented in our schools across America?" She posted something like this on her website, brendaforkids.com. And she says, after reading this, I'm ashamed to be an alumna of Santa Ana High School. Her research shows that there are at least a dozen copies of this filthy, vile so-called book at the Santa Ana High School library. At least one of them was checked out when she checked. And of course, Lebsack blasted the idea that raping babies and having sex with dogs should be considered diverse or inclusive or representative of African American culture or in any way appropriate to teach anti-racism in public schools, which is, of course, the justification for many of these filthy books. And yet, California political and education leaders, including, by the way, the California Teachers Association, are waging total war, scorched earth campaign on any parents who try to protect children from this evil. So Lebsack said she'd be going to consult the Orange County NAACP to see if that's how they believe African Americans should be portrayed and represented in schools. Now, Push, this vile book that we've been talking about, has been banned in numerous other jurisdictions that have some common sense for obvious reasons. But in California, they just passed AB 1078. It is now illegal to ban books like Push, even if they are normalizing the most horrific perversion imaginable, regardless of how the community feels, regardless of how the parents feel, regardless of how the local elected school board feels. It doesn't matter. You just pay for the school. You just hand over your children. They will determine what filth needs to be inserted in the minds of your children. And if school boards try to protect children, they'll face major fines, and the state will end up going around the school board and providing the book to the children. Anyways, California Governor Gavin Newsom, radical leftist, he actually signed this bill into law, and he says, from Temecula to Tallahassee, fringe ideologues across the country are attempting to whitewash history and ban books from schools. Oh, wow. Well, that's terrible. With this new law, he says, we're cementing California's role as the true freedom state, a place where children can have vile pornography. No, just kidding. That's not what he said. He said a place where families, not political fanatics, have the freedom to decide what's right for them. And of course, by families having the right to decide what's right for them, he means small children having the right to see the most vile pornography that you can imagine. This bill was a result of efforts in Temecula, in the school district there, to refuse to offer disgusting textbooks glorifying a pervert named Harvey Milk. We've talked about Harvey Milk on here. He's a prominent homosexual activist. I think the first homosexual elected official. What they don't tell you in the textbook is that he raped multiple children, some of whom went on to commit suicide. He was also a good buddy of Jim Jones, the crazy cult leader who mass murdered all of those innocent women and children in Guyana. So the school board, citing the praise for this pedophile in this book, decided that they didn't need this book for their elementary school students. And that's when Gavin Newsom and the legislature sprang into action to protect the freedom of your children to have taxpayer-funded books glorifying pedophiles and pornography. Now, obviously, you know as well as I do that these people would be in a total meltdown if somebody was out there handing Bibles or Christian literature to children in government schools. Newsom would be exploding, but you know what? They believe this monstrous filth, raping dogs, raping babies, that's appropriate and healthy and needed for children. Folks, if you love your children, you will grab him or her and run for the exits of these government indoctrination centers like the building was on fire. Thanks, guys.